The massive alien wreckage had been drifting in the asteroid belt for 3 years, when Commander Alexander Chen first laid eyes on it. Through the viewport of the mining vessel Prometheus, the derelict ship stretched nearly 2 kilometers in length, its hull scarred by weapons fire and cosmic debris. What had once been a fearsome Catherian dreadnought now resembled a dying whale, bleeding atmosphere and coolant into the void. "Sir, we're picking up residual energy signatures," reported Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez from the sensor station. Her dark eyes reflected the blue glow of her displays as she worked. "The power core is still partially functional, but it's operating at less than 5% capacity." Alexander nodded grimly. The Catherians had vanished from known space 6 months ago, leaving behind only ghost stories and scattered wreckage like this. Their exodus had been as sudden as their initial invasion, and humanity was still picking up the pieces of a war that had nearly extinguished their species. "Any signs of survivors?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Nothing lived long in the vacuum without proper life support." "Negative, sir." "But Commander—" Emma's voice carried a note of excitement. "The weapon systems appear to be intact. Dormant but intact." Alexander's pulse quickened. 3 years of brutal warfare had taught humanity that superior firepower meant survival. The Catherians had possessed technology centuries ahead of human capabilities, and their sudden departure had left behind tantalizing mysteries. If they could salvage even a fraction of that technology— "Prep the boarding party," he ordered. "Full environmental suits. We're going aboard." The interior of the alien warship was a cathedral of destruction. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows through corridors wide enough to accommodate the Catherians' towering frames. Alexander led the team through passages lined with incomprehensible symbols, their translation software struggling to parse the alien script. Emma moved beside him, her scanner painting holographic overlays across their helmet displays. "The main computer core is 3 levels down," she reported. Whatever hit this ship, it avoided the central command systems. They found the first body 20 minutes into their exploration. The Catherian warrior had died at his post, 6 arms still gripping control interfaces that had gone dark months ago. His exoskeleton bore the telltale scoring of plasma weapons. But there was something else, something that made Alexander's blood run cold. "Emma, look at this." He knelt beside the corpse, pointing to strange crystalline growths spreading across the alien's carapace. "This isn't battle damage." Emma's scanner hummed as she took readings. "Biological contamination. Some kind of parasitic organism." Her voice was tight with concern. "Commander, I think the Catherians didn't leave voluntarily. I think they were fleeing something." The revelation hung heavy between them as they pressed deeper into the ship. More bodies appeared, all showing signs of the same crystalline infection. Whatever had consumed the Catherian Empire from within, it had been thorough and merciless. But it was in the ship's armory that they made their greatest discovery. "My God," Emma whispered, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. Weapons lined the walls in neat rows, energy rifles, plasma cannons, and devices whose purpose they could only guess at. But it was the central platform that drew their attention. Upon it sat a weapon unlike anything in human arsenals. A sleek, organic-looking device that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. "It's beautiful," Alexander said, approaching the platform cautiously. "And terrifying." Emma's scanner was going wild. "The energy readings are off the charts, sir. Whatever this is, it's operating on principles we don't understand. The power source appears to be quantum-based, drawing energy from dimensional fluctuations." Alexander reached for the weapon, then hesitated. "The infection, could it be transmitted through their technology?" "Negative," Emma replied after running additional scans. "The crystalline organism appears to be purely biological. It can't survive in artificial constructs." Alexander lifted the weapon. It was surprisingly light, conforming to his grip as if it had been crafted specifically for human hands. When his finger found what appeared to be a trigger mechanism, the device hummed to life, displaying targeting information directly in his visual field. "Emma, are you seeing this?" She nodded, her own scanner showing the weapon's activation. "It's interfacing with your neural pathways through microelectromagnetic fields. Somehow it's learning your thought patterns and adapting its targeting systems accordingly." Alexander aimed at a piece of debris across the armory. Without conscious thought, he squeezed the trigger. The beam that erupted from the weapon was unlike anything humanity had ever created. It didn't just destroy the target, it unmade it, reducing matter to its component atoms in a cascade of brilliant light. The energy discharge was so efficient that there was no heat, no explosion, just the quiet whisper of complete annihilation. Jesus, Emma breathed. If we could reverse engineer this technology, we could level the playing field with any species that threatens humanity, Alexander finished. But first, we need to understand what killed the Catherans. If their own weapons couldn't save them from that infection, we need to be prepared. They spent the next 6 hours cataloging the alien arsenal, their cargo bay filling with devices that would revolutionize human warfare. But it was Emma who made the connection that changed everything. Sir, I've been analyzing the pattern of infection spread, she said, as they prepared to leave the derelict. It's not random. The organisms targeted specific neural pathways, ones that appear to be linked to the Catherans' natural aggression responses. Alexander paused in his loading of the quantum weapon. You're saying this infection was designed to target their warrior instincts? More than that, Emma's voice carried a note of awe. I think it was designed to make them incapable of violence. Every infected Catherans we found had been attempting to destroy their own weapons when they died. They were literally trying to disarm themselves. The implications hit Alexander like a physical blow, a weapon that removes the capacity for war itself. And they fled because they knew that without their military capabilities, they were defenseless against any other threat in the galaxy. Emma's helmet light reflected off the alien symbols surrounding them. They left all of this behind because they knew they'd never be able to use it again. Alexander secured the quantum weapon in his equipment harness. Humanity had spent 3 years learning to survive through superior firepower, but perhaps that wasn't the only lesson to be learned from this war. We take everything, he decided, but we also take samples of that organism. If we're going to inherit the Catherans' arsenal, we need to understand both sides of their legacy, the power to destroy, and the force that made them abandon that power. Emma nodded, sealing biological samples in containment units. What do you think we'll do with all of this? Alexander looked around the alien armory one final time. We'll do what humanity does best, he said. We'll adapt, we'll learn, and we'll survive. But maybe, just maybe, we'll also learn to be better than those who came before us. As the Prometheus pulled away from the derelict warship, its cargo holds filled with alien weapons and mysteries, Alexander couldn't shake the feeling that they had just inherited more than advanced technology. They had inherited a choice between becoming the galaxy's next warrior race or finding a different path entirely. The quantum weapon hummed softly at his side, waiting for humanity's answer.